Have you ever
We have
gone
the
in
results
for
of
a
your
routine
tests.
blood test feeling perfectly fine, only to be told that your kidneys are already in trouble? Imagine sitting there thinking you're healthy while inside your body, a silent disease has been building day by day. Every single day in America, more than 50,000 people are told they have kidney disease, and most of them never saw it coming. That number is staggering, and it should scare you, because tomorrow it could be you or someone you love. The real danger isn't just the diagnosis. It's the fact that most doctors will look you in the eye and say, "There's nothing you can do. It's chronic. It only gets worse." Those words land like a life sentence, stealing hope before you've even had a chance to fight. But here's the shocking truth: 99% of early kidney disease can actually be stopped and even reversed if you understand what's really causing it. That's why in this video, Dr. Johnny, I'm going to walk you through the hidden reality of kidney disease, why the medical system often fails to warn you in time, and most importantly, the steps you can take starting today to protect and even heal your kidneys. This is not about scare tactics. It's about pulling back the curtain and giving you the power to act before it's too late. Because once you know the root causes and the proven solutions, you'll never see your lab results the same way again, and more importantly, you'll never feel helpless in front of them. When most people hear the words kidney disease, they imagine something rare, almost like bad luck that strikes out of nowhere. But the truth is very different. Early kidney disease is far more common than you think, and it doesn't come from random chance, it comes from very specific causes. Let me give you a picture. Imagine Robert, a 61-year-old carpenter from Ohio. For years, he brushed off feeling tired after work, blaming it on age. But one day during a routine checkup, his doctor mentioned his kidneys were under stress. Robert was shocked. He never had pain, never felt sick. How could something so serious sneak up on him? His story is not unique. It's the reality for millions. Science confirms this. Studies show that out of all the cases of early kidney disease, only about 1% are due to genetics, something you're born with. The other 99% come from factors you can influence: infections, autoimmune issues, kidney stones, toxins, high blood pressure, insulin resistance, and type 2 diabetes. That means most kidney decline isn't destiny, it's the result of lifestyle and environment. And here's the hopeful part: if it's caused by what you do every day, then what you do every day can also stop it and even reverse it. But here's the catch. Doctors often focus only on what you can't change. They'll say it's chronic, it's irreversible. Yet the biggest risk factors, hypertension, insulin resistance, poor diet, are right under your control. The difference between ending up on dialysis or living with strong kidneys often comes down to whether you recognize this early enough to act. But just knowing this isn't enough, because the real danger hides in the way kidney disease progresses silently through different stages. And if you don't understand those stages, you might not even realize you're in trouble until it's too late. But only knowing this isn't enough, because there's another layer: how your kidneys quietly slip through stages of decline without raising alarms. And that's where things get even more dangerous. Now let's talk about something most people have never really understood: the stages of kidney disease. These stages are like warning lights on your car dashboard, but the problem is the lights often don't blink until the engine is already in trouble. Take Sarah, a 58-year-old teacher from Texas. She went in for her annual labs and the doctor told her everything looked fine. But later, when she reviewed her chart, she noticed her eGFR, a number that shows how well her kidneys are filtering, had dropped to 72. That's stage 2 kidney disease. Yet nobody told her. Why? Because in the medical system, you don't get flagged until you drop below 60. By the time Sarah finally realized something was wrong, she was already sliding into stage 3A. Here's how the numbers work. Stage 1 is when your eGFR is above 90. That's considered optimal, but ironically, they still label it as kidney disease. Stage 2 is 60 to 89, which means the kidneys are already losing function, but no red flag will appear on your test. Stage 3A is 45 to 59, and only then do doctors start paying closer attention. Stage 3B is 30 to 44. Stage 4 is 15 to 29, and by stage 5, below 15, you're in full kidney failure, facing dialysis or transplant. The most shocking part: you could be walking around in stage 2 or even 3A thinking you're fine while your kidneys are slowly deteriorating. That's why so many people get blindsided because the system doesn't warn you early enough. And this is exactly where you have the most power to act. Once you understand that kidney disease has a long, silent phase, you realize prevention and reversal are still possible if you catch it in time. But just knowing the stages doesn't solve the deeper problem because there's a hidden flaw in how the healthcare system labels and treats these conditions. And unless you see through that flaw, you may never understand why so many patients get worse instead of better. Here's where things get truly frustrating. The medical system is supposed to protect you, but when it comes to kidney disease, it often sets you up for failure. The biggest flaw is simple. They don't call it a problem until you're already deep into it. Take David, a 65-year-old retired truck driver. For years, his blood tests showed an eGFR in the low 70s. That's stage 2 kidney disease, clear as day. But every time he asked, his doctor said, nothing to worry about, everything looks normal. By the time David finally got flagged, his eGFR had dropped below 60. That's stage 3A. Suddenly, he was told he had a chronic disease, but by then, precious years of prevention had already been wasted. And here's the absurd part, even stage 1, where your kidneys are perfectly healthy with an eGFR above 90, is still labeled as chronic kidney disease. Think about how discouraging that sounds. You're told you have a chronic disease when you're still healthy, and then once you actually start losing function in stage 2, nobody even tells you. It's a double failure, they scare you too early, and they stay silent when it really matters. The reason most doctors are trained to manage symptoms, not root causes, instead of asking, why is this happening, they prescribe blood pressure medication, diabetes drugs, or other treatments that don't actually heal the kidneys. It's like patching holes in a sinking boat without fixing the leak. And patients like David are left confused, hopeless, and convinced nothing can be done. But here's the truth you need to hear. By the time most people are officially diagnosed, they're already at stage 3A. And yet even then, much of the damage can still be slowed or reversed. That is, if you target the real root causes that doctors often ignore. Because the real danger isn't just late diagnosis, it's the hidden triggers silently damaging your kidneys every single day. And those root causes might already be sitting in your kitchen on your dinner plate or even in your medicine cabinet. When we strip away all the medical jargon, one root cause stands above the rest: insulin resistance. It's the silent engine driving most cases of kidney decline, and it's far more common than people realize. Picture Linda, a 59-year-old grandmother who loved baking cookies for her family. She never thought twice about enjoying a little extra bread or a soda now and then. Over time, though, her waistline grew, her energy dipped, and her doctor mentioned her blood sugar was a little high. What Linda didn't know was that her body was slowly becoming resistant to insulin, the hormone that helps move sugar from the blood into the cells. And that resistance was quietly injuring her kidneys day after day. Here's the science: insulin resistance is the #1 driver of high blood sugar, chronic inflammation, and high blood pressure. Those three together form a deadly trio for your kidneys. High blood sugar damages the delicate filters, inflammation scars the tiny tubules, and high blood pressure hammers the fragile blood vessels that supply the kidneys with life. Left unchecked, it's like pouring sand into a water filter. Every single day it clogs scars and eventually breaks down. Studies show that people with type 2 diabetes are up to 17 times more likely to develop kidney disease. But here's the good news: insulin resistance isn't destiny. It responds dramatically to lifestyle changes, reducing processed carbs, balancing meals with protein and healthy fats, and giving your body breaks between meals. Every step that lowers blood sugar lightens the load on your kidneys and helps them recover. But insulin resistance is only the beginning, because even if you manage your blood sugar, there's another threat that sneaks in through almost every grocery aisle and restaurant menu, and it's changing the mineral balance inside your body in ways that quietly exhaust your kidneys. And that hidden culprit is processed food, something nearly every American eats daily without realizing the cost. If insulin resistance is the spark, then processed food is the fuel that keeps kidney damage burning. And the scariest part, it's often hiding in plain sight in the snacks, frozen meals, and fast food most of us eat without a second thought. Take Mark, a 63-year-old who loved convenience. Breakfast was a sausage biscuit, lunch came from a drive-thru, and dinner was usually something microwaved. He thought he was saving time, but what he didn't realize was that every bite was flooding his body with sodium, while stripping it of the minerals his kidneys desperately needed to stay balanced. Here's why it matters. In nature, real food, whether it's a potato, a piece of chicken, or a bunch of spinach, comes packed with potassium, magnesium, calcium, and trace minerals. These nutrients balance out the sodium your body needs. But processed food flips that natural design upside down. Suddenly, sodium is sky high while potassium and magnesium are nearly gone. The result, your kidneys are forced to work overtime, trying to filter, balance, and correct what the diet industry has already broken. Additives make it worse. Sodium phosphates in deli meats, sodium nitrites in hot dogs, and other preservatives overload the kidneys, creating stress on every level. Over time, that imbalance between sodium and potassium raises blood pressure, drains your energy, and quietly wears out your kidney filters. It's not the salt shaker on your dinner table that's the real danger. It's the packaged, factory-made foods that dominate grocery shelves. And here's the cruel twist: people don't feel the damage right away. They just feel bloated, a little sluggish, maybe lightheaded. But inside, their kidneys are being battered by a storm they can't keep up with. But even if you ditch the processed foods, there's another silent enemy that can strike anyone, one that doesn't come from what you eat, but from what you don't drink. Because when your body runs low on water day after day, the toxins that should be flushed out get trapped inside you. And that's when dehydration begins silently destroying the kidneys. If food can overload your kidneys, then dehydration is like locking the filter on high stress mode all day long. And the problem is, most people don't even realize they're dehydrated until damage is already underway. Think about Carol, a 67-year-old retiree. She rarely felt thirsty, so she only sipped coffee in the morning and maybe a glass of iced tea in the afternoon. She thought she was fine. After all, she wasn't sweating or running marathons. But month after month, her blood tests showed rising creatinine, a clear sign her kidneys were struggling. The real culprit, chronic dehydration. Here's what happens inside the body. Your kidneys need water to dilute waste and flush out toxins. When you're short on fluids, those toxins become concentrated, forcing the kidneys to work harder. Over time, this not only increases the risk of kidney stones, but also causes tiny injuries that scar the delicate filtering units. And it doesn't stop there. If you're drinking plain water without electrolytes, your body can actually lose minerals faster, making the kidneys strain to recycle what little is left. Research shows that even mild dehydration raises the risk of chronic kidney disease significantly, especially in older adults. And while athletes often talk about electrolytes for performance, the truth is your kidneys rely on the same balance of sodium, potassium, and magnesium to function day after day. Without it, your body turns every sip of water into a bigger challenge. But here's the twist: many people reach for the wrong solution. They grab sugary sports drinks or sodas, which not only fail to hydrate, but actually worsen the problem. So the kidneys are left high and dry, both literally and figuratively. And as damaging as dehydration can be, it's not the only modern threat silently choking your kidneys. Because beyond food and water lies another danger, something sitting in nearly every medicine cabinet, used casually like candy, yet capable of cutting blood flow to your kidneys in minutes. And that hidden threat is overused medication, a danger most people never suspect until it's far too late. If dehydration slowly squeezes the kidneys, medications can slam the brakes on blood flow in an instant. And the shocking part, we're not talking about rare, exotic drugs. We're talking about pills millions of people swallow every single day. Take James, a 64-year-old with arthritis in his knees. To keep the pain down, he popped ibuprofen like candy. It worked for the aches, but he had no idea it was starving his kidneys of the blood supply they desperately needed. NSAIDs, nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen and naproxen, narrow the arteries that feed the kidneys. Less blood flow means less oxygen, less healing, and more damage over time. What felt like relief for his knees was silently costing him his kidney function. And it doesn't stop there. Proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs, the acid blockers so many take for heartburn, can trigger immune reactions that inflame kidney tissue and interfere with magnesium absorption. That mineral imbalance puts even more strain on the kidneys. Then come antibiotics, some of which are directly toxic to the delicate tubules that filter your blood. They also damage mitochondria, the tiny energy factories inside kidney cells, leaving your body's filters weak and unable to repair themselves. The numbers are sobering. Studies estimate that up to 1 in 5 cases of sudden kidney injury in older adults can be traced back to medications. Yet most people assume over-the-counter pills are harmless because they're so common. The truth is, every dose adds up, and your kidneys often pay the hidden price. So if you've ever relied on painkillers, acid blockers, or repeated antibiotics, your kidneys may already be carrying a burden you can't see. And here's the kicker. It's not just what you take into your body, it's how the healthcare system teaches you to think about disease in the first place. Because unless you break free from the chronic and irreversible mindset, you'll never see the solutions that could save your kidneys before it's too late. The good news is this: even if your kidneys have been under stress, you still have powerful tools to protect them, and in many cases, even help them recover. And the first step is to lower your blood sugar and reduce insulin resistance. Think about Evelyn, a 62-year-old retired nurse. She was shocked when her lab report showed her blood sugar creeping up and her eGFR slipping below 80. Instead of waiting for things to get worse, she made one critical change. She swapped out her processed breakfast for eggs, avocado, and berries, and cut back on bread and sugary snacks. Within 3 months, her fasting blood sugar dropped, her energy returned, and her kidney numbers stopped falling. Science explains why. High blood sugar is like sandpaper against your kidney filters. Every spike in glucose causes tiny injuries which heal with scar tissue. Over years, that scarring builds up until the filters can no longer do their job. But by keeping carbs in check, balancing meals with protein and healthy fats, and even adding in periods of intermittent fasting, you give your kidneys a chance to rest and heal. Studies show that even modest weight loss and better blood sugar control can dramatically slow kidney decline. The key here is not perfection, it's consistency. Every time you choose real food over processed carbs, you lower the stress on your kidneys. But food alone isn't enough, because another major factor, silently raising blood pressure and draining kidney health, is often ignored. And that hidden factor is mineral imbalance, especially magnesium and potassium, two nutrients that can make the difference between rising blood pressure and stable kidney function. If high blood sugar is the first weight crushing your kidneys, then mineral imbalance and stress are the second. And these two often go hand in hand, silently pushing blood pressure higher and higher until the kidneys can't cope anymore. Meet George, a 66-year-old retiree who always thought his high blood pressure was just bad genetics. He took pill after pill, but the numbers barely budged. What no one told him was that his diet was almost entirely missing two of the most kidney-protective minerals, magnesium and potassium. Once he started adding leafy greens, nuts, beans, and even simple foods like bananas and avocados, his blood pressure began to drop naturally. Within weeks, he was sleeping better, feeling calmer, and his kidney function held steady. The science is clear. Magnesium helps relax blood vessels, lowering blood pressure, while potassium balances sodium levels, reducing strain on the kidneys. When you're deficient in either, blood pressure climbs, inflammation rises, and the kidneys suffer the consequences. And stress makes it worse. Every spike of stress hormones constricts blood vessels, raises blood sugar, and keeps your kidneys under siege. The fix doesn't require a fancy program. Simple breathing exercises, 5 deep breaths in and out, can lower blood pressure by as much as 20 points in minutes. Practice daily, it rewires your body to handle stress with more resilience. But even if you fuel your body with minerals and manage stress, your kidneys still depend on something more basic than food or pills. Because at the end of the day, your kidneys are filters, and filters can't function without water. That's why smart hydration done the right way is the next critical step. If your kidneys are the filters of your body, then water is the fuel that keeps those filters working. But here's the catch: most people hydrate the wrong way, and it quietly backfires. Take Nancy, a 70-year-old grandmother who prided herself on drinking lots of water. She carried a bottle everywhere, sipping all day. Yet her kidney numbers kept dropping. Why? Because she was drinking plain water in huge amounts without replenishing electrolytes. Instead of helping, she was slowly washing out vital minerals her kidneys needed to function. Here's what science shows us. Your kidneys don't just need water, they need balance. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, and calcium all work together to regulate fluid levels and nerve signals. When you chug water without electrolytes, your body dilutes this delicate pool, forcing the kidneys to work harder to recycle what little is left. Over time, this creates fatigue, muscle cramps, and even more strain on kidney tissue. The solution isn't complicated. Add a pinch of mineral salt to your water, or use an electrolyte mix that contains more than just sodium. Coconut water, fresh fruit, and leafy greens also deliver hydration with natural electrolytes. And don't forget caffeine and alcohol dehydrate, so balance them wisely. Hydration is not about flooding your system, it's about fueling your filters. Done correctly, it can lift the weight off your kidneys and keep them working smoothly. But even if you master hydration, your body still needs something else: variety. Because one of the most overlooked secrets to kidney protection isn't a single superfood, but the power of eating a wide spectrum of whole, colorful foods that feed both you and your gut microbiome. If hydration keeps your kidneys running, then variety in your diet is what keeps them resilient. And sadly, most people eat the same handful of foods every week, starving their body and their gut microbiome of the diversity it craves. Take Gloria, a 65-year-old widow who lived on toast, chicken, and coffee most days. Simple, familiar, quick. But over time, her digestion slowed, her energy crashed, and her kidneys weakened. When she started working with a nutritionist, the first change wasn't cutting foods out, it was adding more in. Bright peppers, berries, lentils, spinach, even fermented foods like sauerkraut. Within weeks, not only did her digestion improve, but her lab results showed her kidney numbers stabilizing. Here's why. Your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your intestines, helps process nutrients, balance immune responses, and even reduce inflammation that harms the kidneys. But those bacteria need a buffet of fiber, antioxidants, and plant compounds to thrive. When you eat a rainbow of whole foods, you're not just feeding yourself, you're feeding the microscopic allies that protect your kidneys from the inside out. Research has shown that people with higher dietary diversity have better kidney outcomes and lower inflammation markers. The good news is you don't need a perfect meal plan. Simply aim to rotate your fruits, vegetables, and proteins weekly. Each new food adds a layer of defense for your kidneys. But even with the best diet, there's one last threat you can't ignore: the hidden toxins and medications in your environment. Because unless you cut down on the chemical stress your kidneys face every day, all the food and hydration in the world won't be enough. Even with the best diet and hydration, your kidneys can still be overwhelmed if you're constantly loading them with toxins and unnecessary medications. And this is where so many people unknowingly sabotage their own health. Take Harold, a 68-year-old veteran. He thought nothing of popping painkillers for backaches, using harsh cleaning sprays around the house, and taking an acid blocker every night for heartburn. To him, these were small habits. But to his kidneys, it was like being bombarded with chemicals day and night. Over time, his lab numbers told the story. His kidney function steadily declined, even though he had made changes to his diet and hydration. Here's the science. NSAIDs like ibuprofen and naproxen reduce blood flow to the kidneys. PPIs, or acid blockers, can trigger immune reactions that inflame kidney tissue. Certain antibiotics damage the tiny renal tubules directly. Add environmental toxins from cleaning products to pesticides, and you've got a non-stop stream of stress hitting the very organs designed to filter it all out. Your kidneys are like soldiers on the front lines. If you don't give them relief, they eventually wear down. The solution is mindfulness. Don't treat medication like candy. If you're prescribed something long-term, talk to your doctor about kidney-safe alternatives. Switch harsh cleaners for natural options like vinegar and baking soda. Choose organic produce when you can. Every little step reduces the chemical burden on your kidneys and gives them space to heal. And here's the empowering part: when you combine cleaner living with better food, hydration, minerals, and blood sugar control, you create a lifestyle where your kidneys can thrive instead of decline. But we're not finished yet, because the real turning point isn't just in what you do, it's in how you believe. And the final piece of this puzzle could be the hope that saves you from dialysis. If you've made it this far, take a moment to appreciate yourself. It means you care enough to protect your kidneys before it's too late, and that choice alone already sets you apart. Remember, you don't have to be perfect to make progress. Every small step, choosing real food, drinking smarter, adding minerals, cutting back on unnecessary medications, creates a ripple of healing inside your body. That's why I encourage you, don't just watch and forget. Save this video so you can come back to it anytime you need a reminder, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the latest medical insights and practical tips on protecting your kidneys and your overall health. By staying connected, you give yourself the best chance to stay informed, prepared, and empowered. And here's the hopeful truth I want you to carry with you. Kidney disease is not an automatic life sentence. The vast majority of early cases can be slowed, managed, and even reversed. Your kidneys are resilient, and with the right care, they can recover far more than most people realize. You're not powerless, and you're certainly not alone. The future of your health is still in your hands, so take that power, protect your kidneys, and live with strength, hope, and freedom.